Hi, my name is Geoff Webb, and this is Ask Geoff, where I answer your questions about job search and job search related matters. So come on to the kitchen, let's chat. Hey there, everybody. It's Friday. This is Ask Geoff. This is my Friday shirt, so let's kick it off. Comment question. How do I cope with rejection or being let go? So this is an important question that gets asked a lot, which is how do I really cope with the rejection of being let go? First of all, I'm going to have to say I wouldn't recommend jumping right into a job search unless you have a job that's readily available to you. There's going to be a period of time where you're going to feel just some anger, really, about your last employment opportunity. And I think you need some time to process that. There's a lot of self-care things that we always recommend that candidates do. Part of that could be, talking to a friend about how you feel. However, if you feel like you're really incapacitated by the loss of your last job, if you really felt betrayed, then it might be time to seek some professional help. I'm sure there are counselors, therapists out there who would be happy to speak to you about your feelings around your last job. The point is, I think you really need to get over those feelings or be able to sit with that well to be able to move forward within your job search and be successful. If you are being saddled with the sadness or the anger that is part of your last job or part of the letting go from your last job, then that's really going to be reflective in your job search. It can be reflective in your interview and probably going to lead to not being successful in getting that next great role. So, just to start off with, look at this as an opportunity. One door closes, another one opens. There's always a saying that people like to say, well, it's absolutely true. Probably, if you got let go, things weren't going as well there as you likely thought, and probably isn't the place for you anyway. So this is an opportunity to go and find that dream job, to take your time, really figure out what it is you want to do with your life, and then go out and find that opportunity. It's a great opportunity. I know it is scary. I know that there's worries about bills and things like that. But this can also be a great opportunity to seek out those adventures that you hadn't been able to do before. Hey, maybe you can travel for a little bit of time if you've got some money socked away, and I always recommend having some money socked away just for those periods of unemployment. Or maybe it's time to start that consulting gig that you always wanted to do. But there's a positive spin on this. But again, if you are feeling crippled by the anger around your last job loss, then I'm going to recommend that you seek some professional help. There are lots of therapists out there from an occupational standpoint that can help you sort of work through those feelings. Comment question. What's the best way to provide or manage my references? So one of the things that I often see done poorly by job seekers are references. In fact, I'm always quite surprised when I call a reference and I get a bad reference on somebody. First of all, because that shows to me that that person hasn't been very good at selecting that reference. And you should always select people that you've worked closely with who can attest to your skills, your experience, your work attitude, your work aptitude. People who you are knowing really well who are going to provide you with a good experience or a good reference. The other thing that you should do is you should coach them. So once you've gone through a job interview, you should let them know that a recruiter is going to call them. You should let them know how the interview went, what the job is all about, and what are the key areas that you wanted them to focus on as a reference. This goes a long way to helping a recruiter decide that you're the one for that role. Now, this happens though, although it's fairly common knowledge, it's fairly intuitive, I think. It doesn't happen a lot. So I often, when I was recruiting, would call references only to find out that they weren't aware that the applicant was applying for jobs. Sometimes they didn't even know they left their current job. And they didn't know who I was or that I would be calling, and that kind of leaves a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth. It means that the person has been unprepared in their job search and is kind of leaving their references flapping out in the wind there. They often gave okay references, but they weren't glowing, and it can go a long way in differentiating yourself from that A or B candidate to have that excellent and glowing reference. In fact, 3 or 4 glowing references is always very helpful. So I would say do your references a favor. Prep them for the interview. Prep them for the call that the recruiter is going to be making, and give them some key talking points about you that you want them to stress in the reference. Try not to make it formulaic so that it doesn't come across as being scripted, because we can hear that as well. So you may want to practice with them a few times on the phone just to get the gist of what they're going to be saying. And again, I would recommend just talking points, not necessarily a script, because again, a script is just going to sound scripted. Talking points are points that person should hit during the reference check. Common question. I left my last job angry or on bad terms. How do I fix it? Okay, well, to follow up on the last question, definitely don't ask for references if you left your last job on bad terms. I don't see a lot of people who do leave their jobs on bad terms, and that's often because in today's day, in today's economy, it's often downsizing. It's not their fault. There's really nothing that they could have done to save that job. It's just a simple factor of the economy, and I think a lot of people understand that. I think one of the things is when a job is coming to an end, it's really incumbent on you as the job seeker to really just keep your cool. And I know that's difficult because you're in a room with an HR person, they're telling you that you're no longer going to be working here, you're thinking to yourself, oh my God, I've just bought Timmy soccer lessons and I need to be able to pay for that. And so there's a lot of anger around that. Again, to the first question, I think you need to keep hold of that anger, hold on to it, and really redirect that in ways that are going to be helpful to you in your job search. So, it's hard when you leave on bad terms. It's tough when you shoot your mouth off, because you are going to want those people to be part of your references, and it's probably going to show up in your interview style. I would again focus away from the people aspects when you're interviewing and focus on the aspects of those jobs, the things that you did in the job, the accomplishments that you generated for the company. And when people ask you why'd you leave that last job, it's perfectly reasonable to say that you reached a point in the company's life cycle where you didn't feel like it was a good fit anymore, or they didn't feel like it was a good fit anymore. And whether there was bad feelings or not, you want to stress the fact that there was no bad feelings, that it was a mutually beneficial arrangement. And so try and stick to those lines. Don't go crazy. Don't go telling your entire story, because nothing looks worse than a candidate who's slamming their last job. So do try and stay away from that. Try and keep it positive in the interview, and that's going to help take you a long way away from that last bad experience. And hey, there was just a blip in your life. Don't worry about it. Guys, that about did it for me this week. Hope that was helpful to you in your job search. If you have any questions at all, you can always leave those questions on Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. If you are on Twitter, use the hashtag AskGeoff, AskGeoff, with the hashtag sign. We're going to pick those up, and we will feature those in a future episode. My name is Geoff Webb, Radical Recruit. Happy hunting. And if you like this video, give us a thumbs up. If you want to see more of our videos, press the subscribe button up above. And otherwise, check back at radicalevents.ca in our video section for all the videos that we've ever done. Thanks very much, guys. Have a great weekend, and I will see you next week.